guys? My name is Brandon and welcome to Audio Addiction, where you can find the latest album reviews, you can find our banner reviews, and you can find live coverage of the concerts that we get. I'm going to see a lot like Brits this week, Emerosa, as well as our friends in Civil Youth. Really excited for all those shows, and maybe another show here and there. I've been going to a lot of shows as of recently. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to get video, but I hope to be getting more videos as the shows go on. We have some really cool things coming up, so definitely be on the lookout for that. Thank you guys for getting us to over 400 subscribers. It really does mean a lot, and thank you for your support. I couldn't be more humbled and thankful for you guys who come to check out my reviews. So thank you guys for that. Speaking of subscribing, if you enjoy what we do, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, make sure to hit that like button as well. It really does go a long way. And again, thank you for your support. So tonight, we're going to be talking about Gideon's new record, Cold.
Run! Hide! If it gives you peace of mind, don't!
So, I've been a fan of this band for a really long time. Back in 2011 when I found out about their first record, Cost. I've just been on the Gideon train since then. I know they're a hardcore, sort of metalcore band out of Alabama. I'm not exactly sure where in Alabama, but I know they are from Alabama. But absolutely killer stuff from them. Cost was one of my favorite records, and Milestone was such a great follow-up. I think I like Milestone more than Cost, definitely without a doubt. And Callous was another great follow-up to Milestones. So I definitely feel like they have really kind of continued that train on and on, which I've really enjoyed and just been cool to follow them. Really excited for this fourth record that they're able to do. If you do like it, definitely go pick it up. It really does mean a lot to the band, especially for getting tours and stuff like that. I might make a separate video on that, hopefully. I'm not in a band per se, but I know the logistics that go into it. So if you'd be interested in that, let me know. So I'm going to go through each track, give you my thoughts on give my thoughts on them, and I'm going to give my pros and cons on the entire record and an overall rating, so definitely be on the lookout for that later on. So we're going to get into the first track of the record, which is Champions. This was the second single that they released, and they released a music video for this one as well, so check that one out if you haven't already. I think the only other music video that they did for a song off this album was Cursed, which I will be talking about in a minute, but really enjoy this track. I like that it has a solo guitar intro building up into a huge hit, and I just think that's a great start off to the record. I definitely think they started off with a bang without a doubt. I really like the additional layers in the verses and just throughout the tracks in general, not only this one. I really think it just adds this overall just fullness to the track and just adds this cool little element to it. I like the chorus has this sort of anthematic feel to it as well. I think the addition of cleans from Tyler, their guitar player, I think that's always a nice little touch. I know he's not sprinkled throughout this entire record too much, but I do like when he has his moments in that regard. I think the build up into the breakdown as well as the slowed down at the end of the track was just absolutely brutal. I think they just definitely, like I said, they came out the gate swinging without a doubt. And I think it's definitely a great opener track to this record and kind of gives you an idea of what to expect from Gideon. But if you have been a fan of Gideon for a long time, then this album shouldn't surprise you too much. So we're going to move it into track number 2, which is Cursed. This features Brian Garris of Knock Loose. This one was the most recent single, I believe, that they released, which I really enjoyed as well. It's definitely a favorite of mine. I'm really liking the harmonic guitar intro. I'm going to be using a lot of guitar sort of pinpoint parts because I love guitar. I play guitar myself, so it's something that I definitely pick out when I'm listening to albums and just doing reviews in general. That's something that I just like to focus on. So definitely in that regard, if you're a guitar player, they definitely kind of stepped it up in that regard for this track. I definitely feel like this follows in the footsteps of the last track, Champions. It definitely hits like a truck. It definitely has that sort of just grit to it that you know and love from Gideon. I definitely like that Brian does a great feature on this track. It definitely took me a few listens for me to really enjoy him. I'm not the biggest Knock Loose fan, so for me to really like him. I definitely feel like he fits very well in this track and just fits well with Dan's vocals in general. He has Brian has a very high sort of scream and Dan has sort of that lower scream, so I like when they harmonize at this part between 130 and 145. I definitely like that part. That's something that I could distinctly pick out that I enjoyed. I think he has a really great feature overall, and I definitely feel like a lot of these tracks are just really solid. I think they did a really good job of picking out the singles and not picking out some of the best tracks off the record. But I definitely think these are solid tracks and definitely ones if you haven't already checked out to check out. So we're gonna move it into track number three, which is Machines. Another one of my favorite tracks. Really loving the opening riff and just the lead melody of this track as well. This one, like the previous two, goes in even more. I feel like that those tracks were really solid, but I definitely feel like we're definitely getting into the meat of this sort of album in terms of that. Really liking that Tyler does cleans as well on this, and it just has a sort of grit to it as well. I'm pretty sure it's Tyler because I know he's done it live, but I'm not obviously 100% sure because I don't have my album just with me at the moment, but it will be coming in very soon. So I'm really excited for that. I also like the part around the 1 minute and 40 second mark. I like that has this sort of anthematic appeal to it. And then it just drops you on your neck at around the 1 minute and 45 second mark. Just that breakdown just hits you like a freaking truck. I love the riff at around the 2 minutes and 30 mark. It just has this sort of rawness to it and just this overall cool, cool, like just riffage going on with that. So in that regard, I really think Machines is solid. So we're gonna move it into track number four, which is Freedom, and this one is featuring Jamie Josta of Hatebreed. I am not, well, I wouldn't say I'm not a fan of Hatebreed. I just don't listen to them. It's just one of those bands that I kind of just glazed over. I know they are kind of like the I wouldn't say founding fathers of hardcore, but they definitely are one of the larger sort of bands in hardcore. But I think he was definitely a great feature. This one turned out to be one of my favorites as well. I didn't know how I was gonna feel about Jamie Josta just because I hadn't heard of him and I don't know. And I checked out a few songs before I really got into this album. But I like that the track starts off with Jamie and just his vocals. They're just so unique to him, and I don't think you could get him mixed up with any other vocals, especially with Dan's, just in comparison to the two. I think it's really solid. I also like that the vocals were split up between Dan and Jamie. I like that Dan took more of the verse parts of the tracks, obviously accenting Jamie in the choruses, but I like how the cool balance between that. I think they definitely utilized him as a good feature. And if you want to know anything for basis of features, I definitely feel like this is a good starting point. I like the balance between the two of them. They don't sound similar, so it's not hard for them to get mixed up either. I'm loving the breakdown around the 2 minute mark. I think it's really solid. And then just the group vocals add this extra punch to the choruses that you would probably be missing if they weren't in the track at all. So I would say that that is just a solid song in general, and I think that Jamie Josta did an awesome job as a feature on this track. So we're gonna move into track number five, which is The Game. This one is one of my favorites as well. I'm liking these different sort of oddish sort of intro that they had going on here. It has this sort of ambient feel to it. It has these sort of distant guitars that kind of fade in into the track, and then they just throw you in with a breakdown. Absolutely monstrous. Definitely liking this song drum wise. I think it's chaotic. It's really impressive actually. I think it's probably one of the more technically proficient drum tracks. While it's not like crazy stuff, I definitely feel like just the drum work seems really solid. And it's something to point out because I feel like it's a little bit on the more. I definitely feel like it's something that's big to be pointed out in the track. I'm really liking the guitar riffage in this track as well. I like just some of the overall riffs that Tyler's been writing. I think it's really solid. It's just got this groove to it. Really loving the lead lines in the chorus. I feel like it just adds another element to the track. It just adds this overall ambience to the choruses as well. It just makes them seem a little bit fuller and just a little bit more have that a little bit more punch to it as well. I'm also liking the more ambient elements of this track as well. I like that they balance that out with just hard hitting breakdowns or just hard hitting parts. I like just the balance between the more like softer, like cleaner sort of melodic parts versus just the brutality of some of the breakdowns and just riffage. I think it's a nice juxtaposition between the two. So I'm going to move it into track number 6, which is Cold. This is kind of like an interlude. I like the cool sort of stuff that they're doing with that, with the clean sort of ambient guitars, like I've been mentioning. I feel like it adds depth to the track, and you can definitely feel like this overall emotion sweep over you when you're listening to this track. It just has this emotional just pull to it, which I really enjoy. And you can definitely feel it. So, in that regard, I feel like they just nailed it on the head. In that regard. So we're gonna move it into track number 7, which is "Watch Me Sing." The intro reminds me a lot of the Ghost Inside, actually, another hardcore band as well. And if they ever did a tour together, like, please take my money. I will freaking go to that. But really enjoy that sort of approach to this track. I like that the bass and the drums are kind of the focal point of the track in the verses. I feel like that's something that isn't heard too often, so I definitely like that those two are kind of the main focus of the verses in these tracks in particular. I definitely like that this one has more melodic elements as opposed to just straightforward, just sort of hardcore, sort of punchy tracks. While I do like that, I like that it also has melody as well, and I think that they've incorporated it very well. I feel like the build up just has so much emotion to it. You can hear it in Dan's screaming. I just feel like this one just has so much pull to it, and just the payoff after the breakdown is just absolutely killer. Probably one of my favorite breakdowns off this record. And I just like that it has this sort of dark, ominous sort of vibes to it as well. I feel like if they expounded upon that maybe in the next record, that'd be kind of cool. I know that they've done it before, but not to that extent. So I really enjoyed that. So we're gonna move it into track number 8, which is "Pulling Teeth." This was the first single that they released, and I think they released this far before they announced Cold in any regard. I think it was at least a couple months before they released Cold. But it was like when they first signed with Equal Vision. I definitely like that this track in general. I like that they kept this on. Obviously, they were working on the record at that time, but I don't know if it got fixed at all or anything like that. But I don't know if it got what I mean by fixed. I don't know if it got like remastered for the actual album, but I think it's a really solid track. I like the gang vocals in the intro. It's very reminiscent of their past record Calloused. In that regard, it has some of those hardcore sort of punk beats, and just that overall aesthetic of Calloused. I feel like obviously considering that is a little bit closer to Calloused, I would say that it's kind of like that middle ground between Calloused and Cold, between those two. I also like the trade off between Dan and Tyler's vocals in the verses. I like that Tyler's doing some scream parts. I know he's done them live, so it's cool to hear him actually do it on a record. And I hope that they incorporate him just a little bit more each record, each time. I think he's just a solid guitar riff writer as well as a solid vocalist as well. I like like I've been mentioning, I've been liking the riffs on this track as well. I think the drumming is definitely impeccable on this track in particular as well, along with the game. I feel like those two are probably the more two stronger drum centric tracks, which I enjoy. And then I also like the break in the bridge. I feel like it offers this sort of relief to the track, but then ultimately kicks back into the track, which kind of offers that sort of break that you would need. So I really enjoyed Pulling Teeth. Out of all the singles, I'd probably say that this one's in the topper tier, in terms of sound and sonically and how I like it. So we're gonna move into track number 9, which is "Walk Alone." This one is also one of my favorite tracks off the record. I like the drum lead into the intro, as this sort of like process feel to it at the beginning. It's literally just solo drums at the beginning for probably about like 15 seconds, which is really cool. It definitely won't get you confused with any other track off the record. I would have to say that this is one of the heaviest tracks off the entire record. Without a doubt, it just throws you right in after that drum lead in. It just absolutely demolished me. The first time listening to it, I just had that like stank face on my face because it was just incredible. I'm also liking again the melodic elements. I like that they're increasing that more melodic approach to the tracks. I think it's really solid, especially you can hear that in the chorus. I think the build in at 210 is really cool as well, and it just leads into that hardcore B-Town esque breakdown at around the 225 mark. I thought there would be more barks. I know that is a common trope of hardcore music, but I thought there would be some of that because I have heard it live when they were playing on Warped Tour, and I thought that was quite interesting. And I hadn't heard that myself, so it's kind of odd, but I felt like it was missing a little bit. I know they kind of teased it, but not really. So, but I definitely would say that this one is probably my favorite, along with Scapegoat, which is actually the next track of this record, and is also one of my favorites. I'm really liking the riffage in this track as well. The delayed vocals in the layers in this track is really solid, and I like how Dan does the screams, and it has like this sort of delayed part, and they kind of like back and forth. He kind of back and forth with each other, with himself, which is kind of cool. Also liking the extra sort of lead parts throughout the song. I feel like it just adds this ambience to the overall track, like I've been mentioning. I think that they definitely have attached to the more melodic approach in this latter half of the record, which is really solid because I definitely feel like it adds another little element to their band. I definitely feel like this one has a great groove to it as well. And the hit at around the 255-minute mark will blow you back. When I listened to it the first time, I was just like, man, this goes hard. So I really enjoyed that. I definitely like what Dan's doing with his vocals in this track. I would say that this one he probably goes the hardest in, without a doubt. It's just like, oh man, I just can't even explain it. So definitely check out Scapegoat and Walk Alone if you just want those. Just like if you want to get to the point, those are the two tracks you want to check out to just get to the point. They are just hard. So we're gonna move into the last track, which is Thick and Thin, and is another one of my favorite tracks off this record. I've had a lot of favorites. I think this one might top my favorites in terms of Gideon records, but this one is just another one hard out the gate. Tyler just adds his cleans again. I think that it's a great culmination to this track. Obviously, a lot of these tracks don't have too much of Tyler's influence on it, but I like that they had him in on this track as well. I like this sort of softer, more melodic pieces, almost borderline like Being as an Ocean sort of feel to it. In the bridge around the 2 minutes and 30-second mark. That's what the types of vibes that I was getting. I also like the gang vocals towards the end as well. I think that just adds another anthematic approach to this song and just this record in general. Also liking Tyler's solo kind of at the end of the bridge slash outro as well. I think that is just another solid look from them too. And I definitely feel like this track is a great closer, and I think it culminates kind of the whole record and the types of vibes and feelings that you would get from it. So, my pros and cons of this record. Some pros, I definitely feel like they incorporated a lot more melodic elements to this record, without a doubt. You can hear it in tracks like Scapegoat. Well, maybe not as much Scapegoat, but you can definitely hear it in like Walk Alone, Pulling Teeth, Watch Me Sink. You can definitely hear it in those sorts of tracks, where they have more melodic pieces to it. So, really enjoyed that. Uh, Sonically, they definitely kept true to form in what they sound and what they know what to do. I feel like they didn't deviate too much, and people were like, "Oh, well, they didn't really deviate too much." And I don't think feel it. I feel like people are gonna be upset about it that they made another record similar to Callous, but I would completely and utter disagree with that. I feel like this one is just a step above Callous without a doubt. It just has more elements to it. It just hits a little bit harder. And it's definitely one to pick up. I'm excited to get it in hand and get it and just listen to it. Obviously, I've listened to it already through iTunes, but I'm really excited to just finally have a CD and have it in my collection because it's definitely one to own. I would say, without a doubt, I'm really excited for this band. If you get the chance to, definitely go check them out on their headliner with Ghost Key and Invent Animate. Ironically enough, I'm wearing an Invent Animate shirt, so that's kind of funny. But definitely check them out if you get the chance to. And my overall rating for Gideon's Cold, I'm going to be giving it a 9.2 out of 10. I definitely feel like it's one to check out. I would say it's up there with some of my favorite record milestones. I would say it's very much a close second, if not one of my favorites. I still feel like I need a little bit more time with it for it to be my favorite, but it's damn near close to being one of my favorite Gideon records. It's definitely a great gym record. This one will get you pumped up. I like last night, I was just flailing my arms around like viciously last night because when I was doing a review of it, I was just getting hyped for this album. So definitely check this one out if you are a fan of Gideon. Even if you aren't a fan of Gideon, this one goes hard. So definitely check that one out if you get the chance to. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on the new Gideon record. I'll try to leave the playlist for the new record if Equal Vision has it out at the end card. So definitely go check that out if you haven't. If not, go check it out on Spotify, iTunes. Definitely pick it up. If you want to pre-order, definitely pre-order it. Their pre-orders are still available, so you can pick them up. So don't miss out on that if you are interested in that. Because I know they don't sell a lot of too much merch on their merch now. They do a lot of their merch when you're at the show. So definitely excited to see them. Hopefully they do a larger tour in the fall or something. I'd love to see them again. Absolutely. So definitely let me know in the comments, like I've been mentioning, what your thoughts are on Cold. Do you think it matches up with a lot of their older records? Do you think their older records are better? Do you think this record's better? Definitely let me know. I would certainly like to have a conversation about that. And if you enjoy what we do, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, make sure to hit that like button as well. And if you enjoy us a lot, we have a merch store. I have a link in the description where you can go check it out. It would be greatly appreciated if you did pick something up. If not, no worries either. But I just appreciate you coming to check out the review. So my name is Brandon. We hope you got your fix, and we'll be talking with you soon. Peace. Hey guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Of course, if you enjoy what we do, make sure to go check out the other series we do. We do album reviews, we do band interviews, and we do live videos, so definitely go check that out. Hit that subscribe button. It really helps our channel, helps us grow. Make sure to hit that like button as well. Go follow us on social media. That's all down below. We try to keep that as updated as possible. We also made a new website where we'll be posting photos of upcoming concerts and stuff like that, which you can go check out at audioaddictionmedia.com and come get your fix with us, guys. Talk to you later. Deuces.